The suburban home of Dr. Elena Rodriguez buzzed with nervous energy as three members of the Galactic Council's First Contact Committee materialized in her living room. Ambassador Zixithan, whose elongated ears and twitching nose betrayed his species' rabbit-like ancestry, clutched his translation device with trembling claws. Beside him, Commander Vextara Hulking, armored being from a warrior species, scanned the room with multiple eyes, while Dr. Queen Ara, whose crystalline form reflected light in prismatic patterns, recorded everything through bioluminescent sensors. "Welcome to Earth," Elena said, gesturing toward the couch. "Please make yourselves comfortable. My family is honored to host this historic moment." The aliens had chosen the Rodriguez household after extensive surveillance. Elena, a xenobiologist, lived with her husband Marcus, a veterinarian, and their 8-year-old daughter Sophia. The family seemed representative of typical human domesticity, a perfect case study for understanding Earth's dominant species. Zixithan's ears flattened against his skull as he consulted his datapad. "Dr. Rodriguez, our preliminary scans indicate your dwelling contains multiple life forms. Are you aware of this?" Elena laughed, a sound that made all three aliens flinch. "Of course, that's our family. Marcus is in the clinic out back. He's our local veterinarian. Sophia's upstairs doing homework." And a deep, resonant bark echoed through the house, followed by the thundering of massive paws on hardwood floors. The aliens instantly activated their personal shields, Vextar-S weapon systems humming to life. "Magnificent specimen," Dr. Quinara whispered, her form pulsing with alarmed colors. Canis lupus familiaris, descendant of apex predators. "Weight approximately 45 kilograms. Jaw strength sufficient to crush bone." Elena frowned, noticing their terror. "You mean Duke?" "He's harmless. He's probably just excited about visitors." "Harmless?" Zixithan's voice cracked. "Our zoological databases indicate this creature's ancestors hunted in packs, bringing down prey 3 times their size. They're genetically programmed killing machines." The conversation was interrupted by Sophia's voice drifting down from upstairs. "Duke, come here, boy." The massive German shepherd, sleek black and tan coat gleaming, ears alert, bounded into the room. The aliens pressed themselves against the far wall, shielding devices crackling with energy. Duke paused, tilting his head curiously at the strange visitors, then trotted over to Elena and sat beside her chair, tail wagging. "Good boy," Elena murmured, scratching behind his ears. Duke's eyes half closed in contentment, his tongue lolling out peacefully. Zixithan's translation device sparked as he stammered, How are you controlling it? What technology binds this predator to your will? Technology?" Elena looked, genuinely confused. "Duke isn't controlled. He's part of our family. He chooses to be here because he loves us, and we love him." Sophia bounded down the stairs, her school backpack bouncing. "Mom, can I take Duke to the park after?" She stopped, staring at the 3 aliens huddled against the wall. "Wow. Are you from space? This is so cool." Before anyone could respond, Sophia threw her arms around Duke's neck, burying her face in his fur. The 70-pound predator gently licked her cheek, his tail wagging harder. Dr. Quinara's crystalline form flashed brilliant red, the equivalent of a scream. "It's happening. The predator is consuming the juvenile." "He's giving me kisses," Sophia giggled, hugging Duke tighter. "Duke loves kids. He always protects me when I'm scared." The 3 aliens exchanged horrified glances. According to every natural law they understood, they were witnessing an impossibility. Either humans possessed technology beyond their comprehension, or something far more unsettling was occurring, something that challenged the very foundation of how they understood life itself. Marcus Rodriguez entered through the back door, his veterinary scrubs still damp from surgery. He paused, taking in the scene. 3 extraterrestrial beings pressed against his wall, while his daughter cuddled with Duke. "Elena, did you forget to mention our guests were arriving today?" He approached the aliens with professional calm, extending his hand. "Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, I assume you're here about the cultural exchange program." Zixthan eyed the offered hand suspiciously. "Dr. Rodriguez, your dwelling appears to be infested with predatory species. Are you not concerned for your offsprings?" "Safety?" Marcus chuckled, glancing at Sophia and Duke. "Predatory species? You mean our pets?" "They're family members, not threats. Pets?" Commander Vextar's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. "This term does not translate properly. Are they ... prisoners?" "No, they're companions," Marcus explained. "Animals who choose to live with us, share our homes, and form emotional bonds with our families." Dr. Kuinara's form pulsed with skeptical. "Colors. Emotional bonds? Between predator and prey? This violates fundamental biological principles." A soft meowing interrupted their conversation. Princessa Sleek Calico Cat sauntered into the room, assessed the strange visitors with typical feline disdain, then leaped onto Elena's lap. The aliens watched in horror as the cat began purring, a sound that vibrated through the room. "Another predator," Zixthan squeaked. "Felis caught a solitary hunter, expert killer of small mammals. Its purring mechanism is clearly a paralysis." "Technique," Elena stroked Princess's fur gently. "She's purring because she's happy. It's a sign of contentment, not aggression." "Contentment?" Vextar's weapon systems powered down slightly. "You're claiming this killing machine experiences positive emotions toward you?" "All our animals do," Sophia piped up. "Want to meet the others?" Before anyone could object, Sophia grabbed Zixthan's claw and began dragging him toward the backyard. "Come on, Dad's got the coolest patients in his clinic." The procession moved through the house, aliens stumbling behind the enthusiastic child. Duke trotted alongside, occasionally bumping against Zixthan's leg in what the ambassador interpreted as predatory stalking behavior. The backyard clinic revealed Marcus's true calling. Recovery kennels housed dozens of animals. A recovering hawk with a splinted wing, a family of raccoons whose mother had been hit by a car, and a young fox recuperating from a leg injury. "Each one is a potential threat," Dr. Kinara observed, her sensors working overtime. "Why do you preserve these predators instead of eliminating them?" "Because every life has value," Marcus replied simply. "My job is to heal, not to judge which species deserve to live." Sophia pointed to a large terrarium. "And this is Samson, my ball python." The aliens recoiled as a thick, muscular snake lifted its head, tongue flicking to taste the air. Samson was 4 feet of pure predatory evolution, capable of crushing prey with devastating efficiency. "Sophia handles him regularly," Elena explained. "He's gentle and curious. She's been caring for him since he was a hatchling." "Caring for it?" Zixthan's voice rose to a squeak. "That creature could constrict and consume her entire torso." Sophia laughed, opening the terrarium and carefully lifting Samson. The snake coiled loosely around her arm, showing no signs of aggression. "Samson's a sweetheart. He likes being petted. Feel how smooth his scales are." She extended the snake toward the aliens, who immediately activated their emergency teleportation protocols. Only Dr. Queen Ara remained, her scientific curiosity overriding her fear. "This is impossible," she whispered. "Every natural law demands that predator consume prey. Yet your species has somehow reversed this fundamental dynamic." Marcus nodded thoughtfully. "We didn't reverse anything. We discovered that many animals are capable of forming social bonds beyond their basic survival instincts. Love, trust, and mutual care aren't uniquely human traits." "Love?" Vextar's translation device struggled with the concept. You're claiming these predators experience the same emotional attachments as sentient beings? More than that, Elena sighed, watching Sophia gently return Samson to his terrarium. We've learned that the capacity for love might be the most powerful force in the universe. It can overcome genetic programming, species barriers, even natural selection itself. The aliens exchanged glances, their worldview cracking like eggshells. They'd come to study human society, but instead, they discovered something that challenged everything they thought they knew about life, evolution, and the nature of consciousness itself. 3 days later, the Galactic Council's emergency session convened in the orbital command ship Harmony of Spheres. Representatives from 47 species gathered in the vast amphitheater, their various forms of communication creating a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and bioluminescent flashes. Fleet Admiral Kex Tho, a massive cephalopod-like being whose tentacles controlled multiple holographic displays simultaneously, called for order. We have received the preliminary reports from the Human Contact Committee. The situation is unprecedented. Ambassador Zixathan stepped forward, his normally pristine diplomatic robes wrinkled from days of stress. Honored Council, what we discovered on Earth challenges our fundamental understanding of predator-prey relationships. Humans have somehow achieved voluntary symbiosis with apex predators. Counselor Mervyn, whose aquatic species had evolved from prey fish, fluttered her fins nervously. Explain voluntary symbiosis, Ambassador. They keep predators in their homes, not as prisoners or slaves, but as companions. These predators choose to protect human offspring rather than consume them. They display emotional attachment, loyalty, and what humans term love. A wave of disbelief rippled through the chamber. Senator Thrixall, representing the Hive Mind Collective, buzzed with agitation. Impossible. Love is a chemical illusion used by some species for reproduction. It cannot override survival instincts. Dr. Keen Ara materialized beside Zixathan, her crystalline form pulsing with excitement. That's what we believed. But observe this. She activated a holographic display showing Sofia Rodriguez playing with Duke in the backyard. The human juvenile is physically vulnerable. A canine predator could easily overpower and consume her. Instead, watch what happens when she appears. To be in distress. The recording showed Sophia pretending to cry. Duke immediately rushed to her side, pressing against her body and whimpering softly. When a delivery drone approached the yard, Duke positioned himself between Sophia and the potential threat, alert but not aggressive. The predator is exhibiting protective behavior toward its natural prey, Dr. Kinara explained. This violates every evolutionary principle we understand. Commander Vextar stepped forward, his warrior species reputation for brutal honesty evident in his stance. There's more. We investigated what humans call animal rescue networks. Thousands of their kind dedicate their lives to preserving and caring for injured predators. They spend their own resources, risk their safety, and receive no material benefit. He activated another display showing Marcus Rodriguez's veterinary clinic. This human male has spent 12 years healing creatures. That, by all natural law, should be his enemies. He's treated venomous snakes, birds of prey, and large predators. Several times, he's been injured while providing care, yet he continues. Counselor Zirath, whose species had evolved from apex predators, growled low. What control mechanism do they employ? Neural implants? Chemical conditioning? None, Zixathan replied quietly. We scanned every animal in their care. No technological modifications, no chemical alterations. The bond appears to be purely ... emotional. The chamber fell silent, except for the soft hum of life support systems. Finally, Elder Yixana, the ancient leader of the Consciousness Collective, spoke. Her voice carried the weight of millennia. If this is true, then humans have achieved something we believed impossible. They have transcended their evolutionary programming through emotion rather than technology. But why? Senator Thricksall demanded. What evolutionary advantage does this provide? Dr. Kunara's form brightened with understanding. Perhaps that's the wrong question. Perhaps the advantage isn't evolutionary, it's social. By learning to form emotional bonds with natural enemies, humans have created a model for peaceful coexistence that extends beyond their own species. You're suggesting, Elder Yixana said slowly, that human civilization succeeded because they learned to love their enemies? More than that, Zixathan interjected. We observed their cities, their governments, their social structures. Humans regularly cooperate with other humans who could be considered natural competitors. They share resources, protect each other's offspring, and create societies where individual strength matters less than collective care. The implications hung in the air like a dense fog. For millions of years, galactic civilization had been built on the principle of natural selection. The strong dominated the weak. Predators consumed prey, and survival depended on maintaining species barriers. If humans had found a way to transcend these limitations through emotional connection, it represented either the greatest evolutionary leap in galactic history or the most dangerous threat to established order. Fleet. Admiral Kexthul's tentacles writhed with concern. What do you recommend, Ambassador? Zixthan looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of representatives from dozens of species. I recommend we learn from them. Because if humans can teach apex predators to choose love over hunger, imagine what they might teach us about living together in peace. Dr. Alina Rodriguez found herself standing in the most advanced laboratory she'd ever seen. The Galactic Council had invited her family aboard their flagship for what they called cultural exchange. But the sterile corridors and anxious alien faces suggested something more serious was happening. Dr. Rodriguez, Ambassador Zixathan, began, his ears twitching nervously. We need to understand your species' domestication technology. The survival of galactic civilization may depend on it. Elena frowned, adjusting her grip on the pet carrier containing Princess, their cat. Sophia walked beside her, holding Duke's leash, while Marcus carried a small terrarium with Samson inside. The aliens had insisted on bringing the animals, claiming they needed to study the control mechanisms in action. I've told you before, Elena said patiently. There's no technology involved. These animals live with us because they choose to. Dr. Kunara's crystalline form pulsed with frustration. Choice implies consciousness, free will, complex emotional reasoning. You're claiming these predators possess sentience equivalent to galactic citizens? Not equivalent, Marcus interjected, setting down Samson's terrarium. Different. But yes, they're conscious beings with emotions, preferences, and a capacity for love. Fleet Admiral Kexthul's tentacles gestured toward a massive viewing screen. Observe. The screen displayed various alien species in their natural habitats, predators hunting prey, territorial disputes, survival of the fittest scenarios playing out across dozens of worlds. This is natural order. Predator consumes prey. Strong dominates weak. Survival depends on maintaining species barriers. But that's not the whole story, Sophia said, her 8-year-old voice carrying surprising authority. Duke used to be wild, like those animals. But he learned that being part of our family was better than being alone. She opened Duke's carrier, and the German shepherd immediately sat beside her, alert but calm. He doesn't hunt anymore because he doesn't need to. We take care of him, so he takes care of us. Counselor Mervin's aquatic form shimmered with confusion. But the predatory instincts, they must still exist. What prevents this creature from reverting to its natural state? Love, Elena said simply. Duke has formed emotional bonds with Our family. He's learned to trust us, and we've learned to trust him. That trust is stronger than his hunting instincts. To demonstrate, Sophia walked to the other side of the laboratory. Duke immediately followed, positioning himself between her and the gathered aliens, not aggressively, but protectively. He's protecting the child from us, Zixithan whispered in amazement. The predator sees us as potential threats to his pack. His family, Marcus corrected. Duke doesn't think of us as a pack in the traditional sense. He sees us as family members, worthy of protection. Dr. Kunara activated a scanner, its beam passing over Duke harmlessly. No neural modifications. No chemical alterations. The behavioral changes are purely psychological. Elder Yuxana materialized in the laboratory, her ancient presence commanding immediate attention. Child, she addressed Sophia directly, do you love this predator? Sophia nodded without hesitation. Duke's my best friend. He sleeps in my room, plays with me, and comforts me when I'm sad. Of course I love him. And you believe this predator loves you in return? I know he does, Sophia said confidently. When I was sick last year, Duke wouldn't leave my bedside. He barely ate until I got better. Mom says that's how family takes care of each other. The elder's form shifted, considering this. In our experience, love is a biological mechanism for ensuring species survival. How can love exist between natural enemies? Elena stepped forward, her voice carrying the authority of a scientist and the warmth of a mother. Because love isn't just about survival. It's about connection, understanding, and choosing to care for someone even when it's difficult. Duke could leave any time he wanted. Our doors aren't locked. Our fences aren't high. He stays because he's chosen to make our family his home. But surely there are conflicts, Commander Vextar insisted. Moments when the predatory nature reasserts itself? Marcus nodded thoughtfully. Of course. Duke still has instincts. He'll chase squirrels, bark at strangers, compete for food if he's hungry. But he's learned to control those instincts because he values his relationships with us more than his immediate impulses. That's impossible, Senator Thrixell buzzed. No species can overcome evolutionary programming through emotion alone. Sophia opened Princess's carrier, and the cat immediately jumped onto a nearby table, then onto Elena's shoulder. Princess began purring loudly, the vibrations filling the laboratory. Princess used to be feral, Sophia explained. She lived in the woods, hunting birds and mice. But when she got hurt, that helped her. She learned that living with us was better than being alone and afraid. The cat fixed her green eyes on the assembled aliens, then delicately stepped onto the table and walked toward Dr. Quinn Ara. The crystalline being froze as Princess sniffed her faceted surface, then gently rubbed against her with a soft meow. She's attempting to initiate social contact, Dr. Kinara stammered, with a completely alien species. This behavior serves no survival function. She's being friendly, Elena said softly. Princess has learned that strangers can become friends. She's offering trust to someone she's never met, hoping for connection. The laboratory fell silent except for Princess's purring and the soft hum of ship systems. Finally, Elder Yuxana spoke, her voice heavy with revelation. We have been wrong. For millions of years, we have believed that consciousness evolved to ensure survival. But these humans have discovered something else consciousness evolved, to enable love. And love, not survival, is the highest expression of intelligence. Part 5. The Symbiosis Accord 6 months after first contact, the Galactic Council chamber had been transformed. Where once species sat in rigidly segregated sections. Based on their evolutionary roles, now delegates mingled freely. Ambassador Zixithan, his rabbit-like features more relaxed than they'd been in years, stood beside Commander Vextar, whose warrior species had begun experimenting with what they called emotional diplomacy. The center of the chamber held. Unusual sight, a living demonstration of the Earth model. Sofia Rodriguez, now 9 years old and serving as humanity's youngest cultural ambassador, sat cross-legged on the floor. Duke lay beside her, his massive head resting on her lap, while Princess sprawled across his back, purring contentedly. Samson, the ball python, was draped around Sophia's neck like a living necklace, occasionally flicking his tongue to taste. The air, the implementation of the symbiosis accords, has exceeded all projections, Dr. Kunara reported, her crystalline form now pulsing with warm golden light instead of the cold blue of her earlier appearances. 43 species have successfully established emotional bonds with former adversaries. Elder Yuxana gestured toward the viewing screen, which displayed scenes from across the galaxy. On Kepler 442b, the predatory Vextar species worked alongside their former prey, the Zixithan people, to build joint colonies. In the Andromeda sector, aquatic and terrestrial species had created hybrid cities where both could thrive. The most remarkable development, Elder Yuxana continued, is the dramatic decrease in interspecies conflicts. War, once considered inevitable between different evolutionary paths, has become nearly extinct in systems that have adopted the Earth model. Senator Thrixell, whose hive mind species had initially been most resistant to the concept, buzzed with what could only be described as joy. The collective has experienced unprecedented expansion. By forming emotional bonds with individual consciousness species, we have discovered new forms of thought, creativity, and problem-solving abilities. Marcus Rodriguez, now serving as the Galactic Council's Director of Interspecies Relations, stepped forward. The key insight wasn't that predators and prey could coexist. It was that the categories of predator and prey were artificial constructs. Every species has the capacity for both survival and love, aggression and compassion. But how do we maintain this? Counselor Mervyn asked, her aquatic form shimmering with concern. How do we ensure that emotional bonds remain stronger than survival instincts? Sophia stood up, Duke rising with her, and walked to the center of the assembly. The chamber fell silent as the young human addressed the galaxy's most powerful leaders. You don't maintain it, she said simply. You choose it. Every day, every moment, you choose to love instead of fear, to trust instead of fight, to care instead of compete. Duke doesn't stay with me because he has to, he chooses to, every single day. She scratched behind Duke's ears, and the massive predator's tail wagged, a gesture that had become universally recognized as a symbol of trust. And I choose to love him back, not because it's easy, but because it makes both of us better. Dr. Elena Rodriguez joined her daughter in the center of the chamber. The Earth model isn't about technology or genetic manipulation. It's about recognizing that consciousness evolved, not just for survival, but for connection. The universe is vast and often frightening, but it's less frightening when we face it together. Ambassador Zixithan approached the family, his movements no longer fearful, but filled with purpose. The Galactic Council has voted unanimously to establish the Symbiosis Accords as the foundation of our new civilization. But we have one final request. He gestured toward the assembled delegates. We would like Earth to serve as the center of galactic government, not because humans are superior, but because you have shown us that the highest form of evolution is the ability to love one's enemies. Elena looked around the chamber, seeing species that had been mortal enemies for millions of years, now working together, learning from each other, caring for each other. We accept, she said quietly, but on one condition. Name it, Elder. Yuxana said, we do this together. No single species in charge, no hierarchy based on strength or intelligence. We govern through consensus, through understanding, through the kind of love that turns strangers into family. Sophia grinned, reaching out to pet Princess while Samson shifted contentedly around her neck. "Besides," she added, "Duke taught me that the best leaders are the ones who protect everyone, not just their own pack." The chamber erupted in an various species expressions of joy chirps, whistles, bioluminescent flashes, and complex harmonic vibrations. But underneath it all was a sound that had become the universal language of the new galactic civilization. The gentle purr of a cat, the contented sigh of a dog, and the quiet breathing of a snake natural enemies who had chosen to become family. Years later, when historians wrote about the transformation of galactic civilization, they would call it the Great Domestication, not because one species had tamed others, but because all species had learned to tame themselves. They had discovered that the most powerful force in the universe wasn't technology or strength, but the simple, revolutionary act of choosing love over fear. And in the center of it all, a young girl and her unlikely family of former predators served as a daily reminder that the greatest adventures begin not with conquest, but with the courage to trust. Asterisk.